Yeah, Doc, I just need someone to talk to. I've been in my feelings a lot lately, and sometimes I just need to get it out. That's cool, right? Avo-Pod. Avo-Pod. Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Avo-Pod, bridging the gap between baby boomers and Gen Z. I am excited to talk to our next guest, Kimberly Gist Miller. Mike, she is phenomenal.
I've heard.
You've heard. Great.
Good things.
Very, very good things. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Kimberly to us. Kimberly has been working in the mental health field since 1991. And has been licensed as an LMFT, licensed marriage family therapist, for all those who can't spell like me, since 2000. She currently holds licensure in both California and Texas. She has more than 20 years of experience working in a variety of settings, providing counseling and therapy to adults, children, families, couples, and groups across diverse populations. Kimberly received both a Bachelor of Arts degree and a Master of Science degree in psychology from California State University, Long Beach. Kimberly, welcome to the show. It is a delight to have you on. We've talked about having someone on with some psychological expertise and professional education to help us understand some of the things that we've come across in our discussions. We had a discussion last week. This is just kind of an intro, right? We had a discussion last week with a gentleman named Kevin Walker, who's a cultural therapist, cultural strategist. I told you we're easily distracted. Wow. And he made a comment about 68% of our young Gen Zers are dealing with some kind of emotional stress right now due to the pandemic. And now when I mentioned that to you in a brief phone call, you said, wow, I thought that would actually be higher. Why would you think so?
Just anecdotally, what I'm seeing, just in the work that I do, what a tough time, like the majority of the people that I work with, probably, I would say maybe 90% of my clients are having some kind of stress reaction since the pandemic started. So, the 68%, makes sense to me, but I could see that it could possibly be higher.
Now, when you talk about your clients, and so we're specifically looking at the Gen Z demographic, would you say that number is representative across all demographics or specific to Gen Z?
So I don't work specifically with Gen Z. So I have to say that I have to preface what I'm about to say with that. Okay. But what the research is showing, a little bit that I've read, is that Gen Z and millennials are impacted in greater numbers than the average adult. So their numbers are higher than anyone else, the older adults. So they're having a tougher time, basically.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Yeah.
It does make sense, especially having children. Mike and I both have children. And it's difficult to watch them sometimes struggle with some of the things that they're missing out on.
Right.
Yeah.
Like my daughter. Yeah, like my daughter graduated recently from LSU, didn't have a typical ceremony, so I guess I'm probably feeling worse for her than she is for herself. She's just happy to be out.
Right.
So, but let me ask you this. Has your practice been busier since the pandemic? Have you, had more clients than before?
I have. Just to the point where, and I'm not unique, right? That I haven't accepted a new client all year. Like I am still full and not able to accept clients from people that I was working with last year. And that's a really common experience right now. Most clinicians they're either they're adding employees so they can accommodate the influx, or they don't have room to take any new clients. I've never seen anything like this before, actually.
Okay, well, can I get on the calendar at some point?
Both of us.
Both of us.
I need to talk to somebody, Kim.
I'm putting the plug in now.
We all need to talk to somebody. This has really been life-changing, what we've been going through for the last year.
It definitely has. So I'm gonna be transparent here, Mike, if I can, before I get to the next question. So I in our pre-production meeting yesterday, we talked about some things relating to the isolation of the pandemic, right? And so I'm trying to get some free advice out of you, Kim, just so you know. And I said I was actually dealing with this pretty good. Right. I'm a single dad, been single for the last 10, 11 years. So I'm used to and comfortable with doing my thing within my environment.
Right.
I really wasn't partying a lot. I was, I'd go serve at church and so forth, and I'm back home.
Right.
Most of what I do is to help support my kids through college. But I've actually felt a little more antsy and a little more I guess it's affecting me, the isolation part, a little more now that my youngest daughter is back home and she's in the house. Now I'm starting to feel a little bit more antsy. Does that make any sense?
It does. It does. Because the amount of time, if you weren't in the pandemic and you guys could both go out, the amount of time that you would spend together would be different. It would be kind of within more of a normal. But now you're in the house a lot, and both of you had been used to not being in the house together. So there's an adjustment, a significant adjustment, to that.
Wow.
Particularly for her, poor baby. I send hugs to her.
Yeah. I've been known
Nothing against you, Ken.
That's all right. That's all right. I've been
that age and then have to come home and spend that kind of time with your parents.
Right.
That is interesting.
That would be tough.
Wow.
So it's not all about you, Ken.
It's my world. Twism. The world is mine. No, but that makes so much sense, because I really didn't understand why I felt more antsy, because the last 5 years she's been on her own doing her own thing, and I've been pretty much on my own doing my own thing. Now I've got this, no longer my little baby, but this young woman in the house and
living at your house,
living at my house, and I tend to knock on doors,
right?
Interrupting and interjecting. Hey, babe, how you doing? Daddy, please. And I'm like, okay, I got to pull back. But
yeah, that's an adjustment
Yeah.
for both of you.
Wow, that's good. Good stuff. Now, let me switch gears with this question, and then I'll let Mike jump in. It has been historically, I guess, the myth or probably the unwritten legend that the Black community does not necessarily embrace mental health therapy, counseling when it comes to dealing with our own issues. Do you find that to be the case, or do you find that actually to be changing now?
Yeah, historically that was truth. That was not a legend. That was truth.
I was trying to put it nicely.
Yeah, that was sweet of you, but I'm gonna be honest.
I like you.
We historically have not embraced, and for justifiable reasons, let me just say, there's no shade about it for me, right? But we haven't embraced, certainly didn't embrace seeking help outside of the church, but we didn't even embrace labeling mental health issues as such. We just didn't, and I think there's so many reasons for it. I mean, we could probably do a whole podcast on that. However, interestingly enough, even before the pandemic, that was starting to shift. And that is something that geeks me out. Like, I get super excited about it. There have been many moments where I have heard African-American people, either on the radio, on podcasts, celebrities talking about mental health issues in such a transparent way. And I get so excited. I can remember years ago, I was listening to Steve Harvey, and I can't remember who. Oh, it was Boris. What is his name?
Kojo.
Kojo. Yes, and he was talking about his therapy experience. This was years ago. This had to be about 15 years ago. I almost crashed my car. Like, I was so excited to hear him share so transparently and so honestly. And then recently, I heard the Christian kind of hip hop artist Lecrae on a podcast talking about his therapy journey, and it was the same thing. And so we actually there's a kind of pre-pandemic shift that was starting to occur, but the pandemic has really, 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 really impacted it. I mean, I'm seeing a huge shift. We are African American women, probably a little bit more than African American men, have been seeking mental health services in droves, probably for the past maybe 2-3 years. So it's exciting. Like, I get excited about it.
It's exciting just to hear, because I know I need to spend some time on the couch. I know that.
Listen, don't get me started about this. This is something I have a lot of my heart just I have a heart for this and mental health issues in African American community. There are so many reasons why we need mental health support. I mean, if you take it all the way back to slavery, right? It's just, there's just a lot of things that have impacted us, and we've just never had the language, the resources, the realization that we needed. And now that that's shifting, I think it's going to have a tremendous impact on us as a community. I can already see it. I'm super excited about it.
That's great. That's great. And just so you know, I'm completely secure in my manhood, but Boris Kojo's a good looking brother.
He's a handsome man.
He's a good looking brother.
Handsome man.
Good looking human.
So
he's a good looking human.
We can admit that.
We can admit that. We are completely.
Absolutely. And he's gone to therapy. That's a catch.
Right.
And he's sensitive.
Right.
He's good looking and sensitive.
And his emotional IQ seems to be.
Yeah. And then he speaks like
high.
50 languages.
Hey.
Right.
Boris.
So
yeah,
we love you, brother.
We gotta have Boris on the show. So just a side note. So I went to I'm a storyteller, Kim. I'm sorry, and I get distracted, go off on these tangents.
No need to apologize.
So I went to a conference for Christians in the music industry called Merge out in California. This was right before I had produced my first movie, Heart That Forgives, shameless plug. And Boris was there, right? And Boris, he's so good looking.
Oh, God.
And he knows it, right? So he's walking down the hallway, right? And I caught his eye, and I just kind of stopped, right? And was just...
Did you make eye contact?
I made eye contact with him.
Oh, no.
I know you threw a nod.
I couldn't throw a nod because I was kind of a little bit paralyzed.
He was mesmerized.
I just kind of stopped, and I looked at him, right? And with a blank face, and he kept looking at me as he passed. And right as he got in front of him, he started laughing, right?
Did he wink at you?
No. He started laughing, and it was because we both knew like why I was staring at him like that.
Dude, no, he looked good.
And I was like, bro, I'm sorry, bro. You good looking. You a good looking dude.
I will never look Barnes Kojo
Don't look
in
in
the
the
eye.
eyes, man.
Ever.
It's dangerous.
No, I'm not going there.
Oh my God, y'all are hilarious.
So Kim, we're going to get back on track a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to try.
Okay.
What are the demographics of your practice right now as far as age-wise? Do you see a wide range as far as age with people that are coming to see you?
So the way that my practice is set up, I don't see a broad range because I'm set up to do a lot of couples therapy. So the majority of my clients are probably in the same generation that I'm in. They're probably between the ages, maybe the generation below too. They're probably between the ages of like 35 and maybe 65. So I don't have a lot of young people in my practice. I have a few millennials in my practice, but not very many. And so I do a lot of work with African-American females in my practice, African-American couples. I see everybody, but the breakdown again, recently, is that my practice is probably about 60% African American.
Wow. So do you I'm assuming you've been pretty much virtual for the past
I
year.
have. I have.
So as a person who may be seeking services from someone like you, does it make a difference in a virtual experience as opposed to coming in and you being able to be in my
Sit with
space with me?
somebody. So I have two answers to that. The overarching answer is no. Like, good therapy can happen virtually. I mean, I've got clients who've done and are doing like really good, deep work in their therapy, and we've been virtual for a year. Um, However, I want to also say there's no substitute for sitting in the room with somebody.
Mm,
Like, so virtual is effective and it's good and it's working and people are doing great work. And you can't really substitute face-to-face human contact. I just don't think it can be
right,
substituted. You're missing something extremely important when you're
right,
not in the same space together.
right.
So yeah.
Then I had another question. I know, as you all know this, they're calling it the George Floyd trial, but it's actually the officer that's on trial. But just from
Hmm.
listening to some of the testimony, it has struck me at how traumatized people in these over police communities are. Um, so for people who live in these underserved communities that may not have insurance or can afford to come see someone like you, are there any
Hmm.
outlets for them to get the help that they need? Or
That they need.
yeah,
Yeah, what a great question. So there are. They have to get not creative. They have to do some research because in every city, in every town, in every place, there is a nonprofit or 10 who offers mental health services. They may be no fee or low fee or sliding scale, but there are lots of nonprofit organizations, and I've worked in those earlier in my career that that provide mental health services to those underserved communities. And so you just have to look for them. They may not be billboards or signs, or
Hmm.
you may not know where the office is, but in most cities, there are agencies that can provide support. And now with telehealth, you just need to be in the same state as your therapist. So you even actually have more opportunities now. Do you have more resources? Even though some of these nonprofit places only provide services to a smaller geographical area, but yeah, I would encourage anybody who's looking for mental health services is just to go into Google and put counseling in whatever town or city you're in and see what comes up.
okay. Then my last question,
Hmm.
Kim, as a woman of faith, how does that influence your practice? And do you integrate that
Oh,
into it at all?
yeah, that's a really good question. What I tell people is I am not a Christian counselor. I was not trained to provide counseling in a Christian context. But I am a psychotherapist or counselor who is Christian. And so what that means to me is if my clients are of the Christian faith, or really of any faith, but particularly the Christian faith, I will utilize that faith to the degree that my clients want or need me to. And so if someone's not Christian, if they're of a different faith, they end up having to kind of help me understand their faith, but we utilize it because if it's important to them, then it's important to the work. But when you come to my office, you're not going to find a Bible out. I'm not going to pray with my clients unless my clients want to pray. If they ask for prayer, then we do that. But so it's not a primary part of the work that I do. And to be quite honest, I think this is going to sound terrible. I'm going to say it though. I think sometimes Christian people need a space outside of their Christian faith to really be honest, because I think sometimes the Christian faith, they feel like they can't tell the truth about
Wow.
whatever it is that's going on in their lives. And so I'm glad to offer that space for my clients, no matter what faith they are. Is that this is a space where you can come and tell your truth.
Right.
And I'm not going to judge the truth. I'm not going to say it's right or wrong, but I need you to feel safe that you can come in my office and be honest with yourself. Because if you can't be honest with yourself, this work can't start.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So our previous episode, part 2, which we'll release this weekend, of talking with the 2 Gen Zers, my daughter and Mike's son. They said almost exactly what you said in terms of not seeing the church and faith becoming less inclusive, less open to differences, and that may have impacted their journey as they went through college and became older. Because a gentleman, Kevin Walker, the cultural strategist, had mentioned that this Gen Z generation is the generation of inclusivity, the generation of fairness. And
they are advocation.
Yes.
They want to advocate.
Right.
Yes. So for you to say, that, hey, that sometimes folk that are Christian don't feel safe or don't have a safe place to tell their truth, kind of goes along the lines with, some of the things we're saying we need to do better as a church as a whole. And that the church is us. And that's not a condemnation. Yeah. That's not a criticism. It's just,
No.
My dad used to say, when you hear something once, listen, and you hear it a couple times, pay attention.
Right. We can do better.
We can definitely do better.
Right.
So let me ask you this. What have you done differently for yourself during this pandemic? Have you picked up any new hobbies, any new interests, anything exciting?
So funny. I was pondering that question earlier. I was like, well, how would I answer that question? So now I realized that I have. I've got 3.
Okay.
I've got 3, and one of them does not reflect positively on me pre-pandemic. But I'll just say,
just go for it.
So what my one new hobby was saving money.
Okay.
I was able to save so much money because I was not traveling, which I love to do.
Right.
I was not getting my nails done, hair done.
No, you said it right, nails.
Like all of.
You weren't getting your nails or getting your hair did. You said it right. Come on now.
So that was number 1. Like I have learned better saving habits, which I'm so proud of myself. 2, the second thing, which kind of grew out of not being able to go to the hair salon, is I had to learn how to manage my natural hair. I hadn't seen my natural hair in like 30 years. And so,
okay.
That is a lifestyle, learning how to manage your natural hair. So that has been a journey.
Yeah, I know Mike struggles with that.
I do.
Yeah, I know you struggle with that too. Go ahead.
You guys should take this on the road. Y'all are hilarious.
You're giving us all these ideas. I hope you don't want any royalties. Because you're giving us some great ideas.
No. They're gifts.
We'll give you free tickets to the show. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Front row.
Right.
And then the last thing is I got a COVID puppy. I got a dog in May. So he's now a year old. And so that's been a lifestyle change, obviously, having a dog. I had a dog before, but
what kind of dog do you have?
He had passed away. I got a miniature schnauzer. His name is Malachi.
Malachi.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's living up to it too.
Malachi. Wow.
I like that name.
I got a dog too.
Yeah.
We've had the dog for a while.
Strong name.
It is a strong name.
Yeah.
We need more Malachis.
We need more Malachis.
We
on
do.
2 legs.
The world needs more Malachi.
Man,
He's a
Malachi.
sweetheart. And so
where's Malachi at?
Right.
Where's Malachi at right now? Is he just chilling?
You want to see him?
Yeah.
No, he's right here. Come here, baby. You want to say hi to the people? He's like, I'm trying to take a nap. And he's freshly groomed.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, okay.
Say hello.
Got the
goodness.
gray and the white and the black going on there.
Wow.
Yeah, usually I'm under my mommy's desk. We work and I sleep under the desk.
Hey, Malachi.
Wow.
For her. Thank you, sir. You
Cute.
can go back.
So let me ask you
super
this.
sweet.
As we kind of wrap up, right? We appreciate you so much
Yes.
for coming on with us today. I know I dropped this on you not long ago, and you were very gracious to say, yeah, we think it's important. Some of the things that we've brought out today, I think are important. If anything, I've gleaned some stuff,
Right.
just in having this conversation. But let me ask you, if you could think of one or two things that you would tell, first of all, our younger folk that may be struggling with this pandemic, and
Absolutely.
then anybody, if you would say, "Hey, look, if are you doing this? Have you identified this? Maybe we should seek someone to talk to." What would be kind of those things to help someone kind of self-identify?
So I have a few thoughts. That's actually a great question. My first thought is something that Pastor Conway used to say and still says, and which is it's okay to not be okay. And just to remind people of that, I think sometimes we think that, it's just not okay if we're not good. We got to be good all the time. And so if you're coming through the pandemic and the social distancing and all that, and just feeling worn and tired and exhausted and depressed or anxious or having thoughts of wanting to harm yourself, like all of that makes sense. It all makes sense. And you need to get some treatment. And when I say treatment, what I mean is, you probably need to go see your primary care doctor and make sure you get your labs done and make sure everything is okay. You might need to go and talk with a counselor or a therapist. You may need to talk with your primary care doctor about the possibility of needing some medication, possibly. I'm not sure. But I think we have to accept that it is okay to not be okay before we'll even pursue help. So that's my first thing. And that's my first thought. And it doesn't matter how old you are. For those who are millennials and Gen Zers, I think that we need to have compassion for them. I mean, I was just thinking about this earlier. This is really, I'm a almost 52-year-old woman, and this has been challenging for me. So if you are still a young adult, and you're just still trying to figure your life out, and then you have all of this happen, this took the air out of a lot of people. And so I think we need to have compassion for them, and we need to be curious about what it is they need instead of giving them a hard time about it. Because I think, especially those of us who are parenting them, we are inclined to give them such a hard time. And Kim, you mentioned something earlier about the losses. The losses are, I mean, tremendous. From some people didn't get to graduate from high school. Some people didn't get to go to prom. Some people lost their grandparents. Some people lost their parents. Some people lost their friends. Some people lost their jobs. We've lost a lot. And so we need to, acknowledge those losses and grieve those losses, and before we can heal those losses. And I think the younger generation are going to be the first ones who are willing to go seek therapy. They're actually more likely to go seek therapy than maybe the older generation is. And so I think what I would say, another thing I would say is, and this is probably not a popular thought, but I really do think that people need to consider how getting vaccinated will benefit them, because I think it's what we need, one, to get past this, but I think it's what most of us need so we can get back to some sense of normalcy. Mm-hmm. I was social distancing hard. Like, I was not out. I didn't go anywhere. I lived in my house for a year, but I was exhausted. I am exhausted of that. And I absolutely need to get back out and reconnect and see my friends and travel, because that's a part of having good mental health for me. And so I'm encouraging anybody who's open to vaccination to look at the benefits of it, to how will it open your life back up? How will it allow you to reconnect? How will it allow you to start to feel better? Despite any political ideas that people might have about vaccination, that's just kind of my recommendation. And then the last kind of thought that I have is we all need to be just doing a better job of taking care of ourselves. And most of us think, binge watching Netflix and, being on the screen is self-care, and it's really not. So no judgment if that's what you're doing, but it doesn't qualify as self-care. So self-care for me is managing your stress, eating as best as you can, trying to get your body moving, learning how to meditate, connecting with your spiritual self, making time to unwind, and making sure you connect with other people. Those are some of the best ways that we can take care of ourselves. And so I think everyone really needs to I was thinking about this today. I think everybody, it's been a year. We all need to kind of stop, take some deep breaths, and ask ourselves, how has this benefited us? And how has it been detrimental? And then what do we need right now to move forward? Like, everybody should ask themselves those questions so that you can start to recalibrate for the next year. So those would be my thoughts.
Some great thoughts.
Great thoughts.
So can I ask one more question?
Go for it, bro.
This is a bonus question. I can't because you
Yes, sir.
I'm thinking as you were talking, you mentioned medication, right? And I know in general the seeking out mental health services and so forth has long been that taboo. But on top of that, taboo B has been the medication, right? There are people that don't want to do medication, right? Because they feel it alters them, on a biological level. They don't feel right. They don't feel well. Then, and they hold on to, well, if God didn't want me to have this problem, right, then I wouldn't have this problem, and I don't need medication if I'm going to get over it.
Did you see me roll my eyes?
Yeah, we did.
I did see you roll your eyes.
Good.
That's okay.
I just want to see you capture. Okay, I rolled my eyes, but go ahead.
Yeah. So when we do the edit back, we're going to zoom in on that.
Right.
And we're going to
I want that to be seen if it can be.
Yes.
But it's true. It's true. You have so many folk that are saying, I don't want to do this because then now somehow I've given up when that happens. What would you say to that?
Right. So I will say a couple of things. Yes, it is true. There is a co-current or concurrent, what's the word? Avoidance, not only of seeking mental health treatment, but also seeking medication treatment sometimes in our community, particularly around with African Americans. However, I don't want to minimize that because there's reasons for that, right? And I won't get into that, but historically, we haven't always been received the best medical treatment, and things have been done to us as a people that have been harmful to us. So some of our fears are justified. However, in terms of like needing medication for psychiatric conditions, I will tell anybody, I get it if you don't want to take medicine, right? It's okay if you don't want to take medicine, but you got to do something. And so if you don't want to take medicine, then you need to sit down with either your primary care doctor or a counselor, a dietitian, or somebody, or a trainer, and talk about what you can do to try to deal with some of these symptoms of depression and anxiety in particular in other ways. You can't just say, I don't want to take medicine and not do anything. You have to figure out what can you do. And so if you don't want to start with medicine, that might be fair. Maybe you don't need the medicine. But if you do the other things and you don't find you're getting the relief from the distress, then it may be something you have to circle back and look and reevaluate.
That's a great piece of advice.
Right.
Mike,
right.
Any last words?
Kim, I know you're at capacity with your practice, but how could people get in touch with you if maybe you could help them with a referral or something like that?
And do we get a referral fee?
What is the best way to reach out to me? Probably my email address is the best way to reach me.
All right.
Which is going to be Kimberly, KIMBERLY, at Harmony, HARMONY, and then a hyphen, and then counseling, COUNSELING.com. So it's Kimberly at harmony-counseling.com.
Cool.
And we have that on the screen.
Yeah.
So they'll be able to see that.
Okay.
And
Okay.
you didn't hear that
No.
question that I threw out there.
She just kind of.
What'd you say?
If we refer someone, can we build up referral credits so that I can have a moment on the couch?
So here's the deal. I cannot see anyone professionally that I know. That is like a rule.
I don't know you. Who you? are you?
Yeah. So I've had some people opt out of, they're like, okay, well, I'll be your friend. I won't try to see you as a therapist.
So that's an actual rule. That's a real.
It is. It's an ethical mandate. It's called dual relationships. We're not allowed to have dual relationships with our clients, which is really, it's hard to manage, but but it's for the protection of the client, actually.
Right.
Because I may no longer be neutral if I know you like that.
Right.
I would think, as a layperson, I would say, hey, I'd want someone that knows me to call me out on my stuff.
I don't know.
No?
I don't think I'd want to know my therapist.
You don't want to know your therapist?
You know what I mean? I want to walk in there with a clean slate.
Right? I don't really got to see you. And if it's virtual, I can just close my laptop.
Right.
I don't need to see you anymore after
Camera
the session's
off.
over.
Listen, anybody that I have a relationship with that I try to give them any kind of feedback, they don't listen to me.
Right.
I get no credit. Like nobody listens to it. My children, my friends, nobody.
They gonna argue with you.
It works out for the best.
Right.
Okay. Well, Kim, thank you again. I hope at some point we can possibly have you back on just to kind of re-energize and look at some of the things we talked about and see if some things have changed for the positive. Maybe there's some testimonies we have, or someone that calls into the show shares that, man, that was a great show you had. It really, really helped me. So at some point I'll reach out to you and hopefully we can have you back on.
I would love that.
That's great.
And thank you.
Thank you.
For having me. It was a blast.
Thanks, Kim.
Yeah, it was so much fun, and hopefully we'll do it again. Thank you so much. Kim Gist Miller, licensed marriage and family therapist.